Total Retail is excited to announce the release of its latest research report, How to Make Free Shipping Profitable: Tactics to Help Retailers Meet Growing Consumer Demand for Free Shipping Without Going Broke. Based on a 10-part article series that Total Retail published on this topic, the report intends to educate retailers on various ways they can offer free shipping without it becoming a money-losing proposition. You can download the complimentary report at mytotalretail.com/resources.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi, I'm Joe Keenan of Total Retail, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I am joined this morning by Chris Meystrik, who is the Chief Technology Officer at JTV. JTV recently underwent a replatforming initiative, and we're going to talk a little bit today with Chris about that. So thanks for joining me, Chris.
Absolutely, Joe. Glad to be here.
So let's start by having you tell our audience a little bit about JTV for those that might not be familiar with the company.
Yeah, sure. JTV is a jewelry and gemstone retail business. We're 25 years old. We have a lot of different sales channels and an omni-digital strategy that we put forth. We reach about 84 million homes through our affiliate channels, over cable television, satellite television, over-the-air television. We employ graduate gemologists, accredited jewelry professionals, because we really pride ourselves in educating the customer as well as selling great value jewelry and gemstones to the customers. Our main selling channel, the way that we cut our teeth was in TV shopping. So the likes of QVC and HSN and jewelry television, like the top three TV shopping channels. We have a huge and growing online, mobile, and digital presence. Social media presence is outstanding. We have a whole team kind of dedicated to that, and we strive to open the world of jewelry and gemstones to everybody.
So as I mentioned, JTV recently underwent a replatforming initiative. So when you undertake a massive project like that, the first thing that you do, or one of the first things you would do, is likely set some goals for the project. You want to tell us a little bit about the goals that you set for that replatforming project, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, as you said, it was a huge project, and any replatform that you do is going to be a monster project. But the things we went into as we started to grow that business more and more and more was, there were quite a few goals actually. So certainly significant site performance was one of the goals. One of the other big goals was improved SEO. We had a really hard time on the old platform, getting all the structures of your URLs and all the things that you need to do to really maximize SEO, getting those correct. We really needed a better alignment with our internal promotion strategy, the enterprise promotion strategy that happens in the call center with the website, and we didn't have the flexibility to do that. We needed increased flexibility for some of the new features that we were trying to put out there. A very customer-focused organization, trying to remove all the barriers to entry, all the points that cause friction for a customer to buy, but we were kind of stuck with in a little box that we had to play in. We had to move toward better integrations to our enterprise systems. That's a bunch of web services that we employ to kind of expose the business and all the business features. But we were, again, in a box. We couldn't really do that with the platform that we were on because we were sort of being measured. And one of the key things in our business, when you're a TV shopping channel, it adds a total curveball to retail. We measure our business minute to minute, right? So as you're going, there's screens that are measuring how is the performance of this show happening, what's live on air right now, what's the show host talking about, and we want to expose that stuff to the website. It's just a real-time business as that's happening. We couldn't do that in the old platform. And then kind of the blocking and tackling stuff, reliability of the systems architecture and site availability was a big deal. We were also implementing a product information management system, a PIM system. And then one of the last things we were doing was we were putting an identity provider in so we could get single sign-on to all of our properties. A lot of goals.
Yeah. So
yeah.
As you mentioned, this is a massive project. So obviously your team is working on this, but others within the organization that you're collaborating with. Can you tell us a little bit about the internal process for this initiative? Maybe a little bit about the timeline, And then lastly, I understand you collaborated with DMI on this. Tell us a little bit about that partnership and how it helped.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, one of the, the collaboration whenever you're re-platforming is fairly company wide, but that just sort of goes without saying. If you're not doing that, you probably need some smelling salts and kind of wake up and go, wait, we should really include everybody, and we did. But really the primary implementers here were, I'm really good friends with our SVP of digital strategy, and he and I partnered, on this. He kind of runs the e-commerce business. So that was clearly a really important goal of ours, was that he and I were completely aligned, and we always are. But when you're doing a big project like this, it was vital. Our internal processes, we're a very agile shop. We practice Scrum and Kanban, and we've been doing that since 2007. We were very early adopters. So that was a key part of the success of this project. And you mentioned DMI. I'm a huge fan of DMI. They continue to work at JTV. We're on another big project together. When you find a good systems integrator, you just kind of stick with them. They're great friends, they're great partners. And the way they integrated was, they understand Agile and Scrum and those methodologies and how they work. And they just deployed, not only did they deploy some of their people onto our Scrum teams, but they formed their own teams, synchronized our sprint cycles, and then had single reviews of the whole project as we went forward, so we could keep track of what was going on. And their ability to align to that was fantastic. So we were moving to ATG and Endeca, so they also brought that skill set to us, right? So that we could learn from them as we went. We didn't have any people that we used to use Endeca, so we had some of those skills, but none of the ATG skills, and they really brought those to bear on us. And it turned out the timeline. We ended up doing the project, once we got it on track. We did have a fit and a start at the beginning, but once DMI got engaged, I'm trying to remember, I want to say it was 9 months, maybe something like that. It wasn't my whole staff. It was a set of my Scrum teams working on it, because we've got the rest of the business to run too.
So one of the things that I learned was that the JTV is hosting the platform itself. Can you tell us a little bit about the decision and why that was made?
Yeah, one of the primary reasons, I guess, there's a couple reasons, and people always maybe people make fun of me, but it is who I am, and it's who we are. But one of the big reasons was Oracle Commerce really wasn't ready to be hosted in any kind of a cloud environment. We did look at it. And they would tell you when we were evaluating the product that it wasn't ready, right? So we didn't really, because we chose ATG and Endeca, we didn't really have that option. Now we are hosting it at Rackspace, so it isn't hosted in our own data centers. Now I do host all the other enterprise pieces in our data center, but we just, we like to touch things. I hire amazing engineers. We've got an outstanding team. These guys love computer science. They love mathematics. They love engineering. We're all into that. And we like to kind of have things in our control and be able to touch the servers and kind of know what's going on at that level. And we're very good at managing that. So we don't have a problem hosting something ourselves and kind of create our own little world.
So one of the things that you mentioned was that you're measuring the business on a minute-by-minute basis, especially with that live TV data that's coming in. So tell us a little bit about why it's important for JTV to integrate that live TV data that you referenced with the customer data that's also capturing on its e-commerce site.
Yeah, so a lot of the customers are kind of multi-channel customers. So they shop with us in our call center, and they love our call center. They love the way they get treated in there. They love talking to people about the jewelry, but sometimes they want to just buy online, and we also, and a lot of our customers watch it online. So when you have a customer that's watching you and expecting kind of that TV experience on the website, that's a very real-time part of our business. While that TV show is going on and the thing that they're showing on air, you have to have all that propagated in real time out to the website, and you have this live stream that's also playing on the website. So as they're switching products, you want to be able to show a product, a product listing or our small product details next to the live stream. So, and that's just something our customers have grown to expect. What were the last 5 products that they showed on air so they can click on them and buy them immediately? We also have a lot of because of the nature of our business, prices can change pretty rapidly, and we get new products into the business on a daily basis. And sometimes those products go from the dock to on air very, very quickly. So you're constantly having to make sure that all of the different feeds that you have going out to your different affiliates are up to date. Take Google, for example. If you have PLA ads up on Google, they kind of insist, rightly, that the price that Google is showing when a customer clicks on that is going to be the same price that you show them on air. And if we've all of a sudden put a real-time promotion out there 5 minutes before a show starts, you have to have all of those prices update immediately. So all of our systems are very event-based. When a show planner decides to implement a promotion or a price label or something like that, the minute that she clicks that button, we are sending something out to Google and we were updating the prices on our website so everything is in sync. And to do that, you have to have this tight integration with your enterprise systems that are actually performing all of those operations. So that's a huge driver for us to be able to really hook up the TV experience and the TV shopping experience with the website. Now there's a huge business out there for us too that has to do with what we refer to as anytime shoppers, people that are coming to us through our digital marketing strategy and stuff like that. But we also have to have those prices up to date for those shoppers too. It's a very exciting business when you twist TV shopping into your business. It's nothing like I've ever seen before, and I have loved being a part of this because that just is such a challenge that you have to deal with every day.
Yeah, that's a great example in terms of the Google PLAs, and if you change your pricing on live air, and getting that updated. So I think that explained it well. So, part of it, we talked about at the outset of a project like this, you're going to set your goals, and then as you kind of finish the project, one thing that I would imagine you did is you evaluated, okay, did we accomplish our goals? What are the business benefits that we're going to have realized since we've undertaken this initiative? Do you want to tell us a little bit about the benefits that JTV has realized since it replatformed?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I would say right away, we replatformed, and anytime you replatform, you have to kind of go into it with a bit of reality, right? You're going to replatform, and you're going to move, your shoppers' normal patterns around a little bit, right? You're going to have a slightly different experience. They're going to have to log in, they got to reestablish. So you should expect a dip, right, in your sales and your performance, and probably even your conversion rates right when you launch. Like, you should just go into the project assuming that that's going to happen, set that standard. And we did. We were all eyes wide open that was going to happen. And what we didn't know, really, we did a great job on the project. What we didn't know was how fast would it rebound, and it rebounded so fast, way faster than our previous replatform that took months to come back. This one turned around in a few weeks, right? And then it skyrocketed after that. Like, we were absolutely positive that we had achieved our goals, because sales increased, conversion rates went up. Our customers' experiences got a lot better. You knew some of the friction that was coming in through our customer feedback loops went down, and in a lot of places went away. You got some new stuff back, of course, when you replatform. You got to be real about it. We also accomplished the goal of getting these real-time feeds. I say real-time, so when you're out there, if you're an engineer, it's pseudo real-time, really. But we did accomplish that, and our PIM implementation went along with this website. We kind of attached it to it. PIM actually went out first. If you're not familiar with that, it's a product information management system. And so these feeds to Google and Facebook and all of our other affiliates became very real-time feeds that were based on events that happened inside the business. We achieved that. We knew that was achieved because we were actually having some problems with Google with our PLAs where prices weren't updating fast enough on the old platform because we didn't have the mechanisms to do it. Now, all of a sudden, all of that noise went away. Google is very, very happy with the performance of those PLAs, and we haven't heard another word about that since. It's become a non-issue. When things become a non-issue, you can tend to forget about them, but we always assure everybody, remember the day when. So it's, and then we also put in a new gemstone feed. So we have these really rich set of gemstone data that we can now update in real time. They can go through all the legal processes, make sure what we're saying about the gemstones is correct, and then we can push those out. That was another consequence of kind of attaching this new robust PIM system to the project. The other thing that happened too was when we got single sign-on with our new IDP system, that was a real boon. The customers had to move over to it, had to sign in again. It was a very seamless process, but that has actually proved quite beneficial. Also, we've recently launched an auction site, JTV Auctions, and our customers, we've achieved sort of that single sign-on goal. When they're signed into our properties, they're signed in everywhere.
Yeah, trying to make it the experience as seamless and easy across the multiple properties makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
So then my final question for you, Chris, is just having concluded this project, what did you and your team learn from the experience? And then maybe a second part to that is, based on your experience, what advice might you have for other retailers that are either rethinking or either thinking about replatforming, or maybe you're even in the middle of such a project?
Yeah, if you're thinking about replatforming, I think the first piece of advice I would have about thinking about replatforming is, you asked this question earlier, Joe, and it was, what are the goals that you're trying to achieve? Like, and like throw them out on a piece of paper and sit in a room with some really smart people, and people that are outside your organization, not just the engineering team, but the people running the e-commerce business. Maybe the CEO. Our CEO is very technical. He's fantastic, and he gets engaged in that kind of stuff. And talk about, here's the goals we're trying to achieve, and can you really not achieve them with the current platform that you have? And then the other thing is, like, what differentiates your business? Like, what's the thing that you really have to focus on that is going to be the differentiator? And a lot of this movement for us was, one, we wanted to become a bigger, stronger sort of general jewelry and gemstone player in the online e-commerce market. But our differentiator at the time is we have this TV shopping channel. We've got to bring these two things together. It's essential that we do that. And so when we evaluated those goals, it was like 2 thumbs up. Like, you absolutely have to go through this replatform. It's how you're going to get yourself into the future. So I think some of the things we learned as we went down through it, one is evaluate your systems integrator. Like, there are bad ones out there and there are good ones out there. And even at the high level, when you think of names that are good systems integrators, it turns out to be the people that you're working with. That's what's important, right? Do they jive with your internal processes? Like, if they don't, it's going to be very difficult. If they do one process and you do something else and they're unwilling to bend, it's not going to work, right? So DMI was fantastic in that regard. And then the thing that was really exciting about this project, Joe, the thing that we learned in hindsight was, maybe a lot of CTOs say this, but I think my team is outstanding. The e-commerce team is amazing. And you've done good engineering. You've done rock solid engineering when your deployment is trivial. Right. And our deployment, we all got ready. We got in this room at 4:00 in the morning. We were all sitting around a table ready for this deployment. And the anticlimactic nature of that deployment was almost hysterical. We had one of our technical operations engineers changed a DNS record, and we were switched. And if we needed to roll back, we just changed that DNS record back. There was nothing else to our deployment except that one step that we had to do at 4:00 in the morning. And away we went. Like, we never turned around. We never had to change that record back, and we were on a new platform. And so you just really, don't make that complicated, right? Do the engineering work, do it right, and make sure that you don't have a script that's 4 pages long that's going to take you an hour to deploy. Like, that's just, get away from that, man. Those big giant flag days are going to kill you.
Yeah, that's that's a testament to the solid work of you and your team and the collaboration across the organization to get this replatforming project accomplished. So Absolutely. Kudos to you and your group.
Thanks, man.
So I want to take this time to thank Chris Meystrik, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Jewelry Television, for telling us a little bit about its recent replatforming project. Thanks for joining me, Chris.
Absolutely, Joe. Really enjoyed it, man.
Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. But make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Also, please take the time to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.
To download Total Retail's latest research report, How to Make Free Shipping Profitable, go to mytotalretail.com/resources.